Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm so glad you could make it. Today, we are going to talk a little bit about how do you engage? How do we engage with our loved ones, with our friends, with families that have the disease? I always say, I use this term, living in the moment. Living in the moment. Very important, folks. Very important, folks. You have to understand what it means. Just knowing this living in the moment concept will enable you and me to have a meaningful relationship, a meaningful visitation with our family members, with our loved ones, with our friends. This is what I say. When my families come to me and for the first time, I tell them, and I'm not shy about this, I tell them that before you enter those two white double doors, we have a unit called Svayus, S-V-A-Y-U-S, Svayus. It's our program. It's a program that I created and I founded, and with the help from my staff and with my help from my clients, I was able to create this program. It's called Svayus, and the Svayus unit is a time capsule. That's what it is. And there are two white double doors that you have to go through before you enter Svayus. There's a reason why I created that the capsule. It signifies and means something. When you look at an individual with Alzheimer's disease, they are living in a unique world, a very unique world. And we are, on the other hand, folks that don't have the disease or the manifestation of the disease, we live in a different world. What we do is, oftentimes, we like to, or we tend to, pull them into our world. And not knowing how stressful it is to them, how burdensome it's to them. We don't realize that we are thinking that we're doing the right thing, and it comes to us. It's normal. It's with flow of things, and we think it's okay. And I'm here to say, I think we should pay a little bit more close attention. We need to be a little bit more sensitive. So when my families come and I see them for the first time, I always tell them, and I'm never shy saying this, when you go through those two double doors, you leave your world outside and you find a way to enter into their world. It's very important, folks. We have to leave our world outside and we have to find a way to enter into their world. The only way you and I would know how to enter into their world is by knowing where they are, which world they are in, what is their world, understanding them. It's very important, folks, very, very important. I cannot impress and emphasize on this any further. In spite of me sharing this concept with my families, and again, it's natural for every one of us to do that, and I do that with my mom. Sometimes we go in and we go like, hi mom, hi dad, how are you today? Did you brush your teeth today? What did you have for breakfast? Did you get your medications? Did the nurse give you medications? When you start asking them these questions, what have we done all of a sudden? What have we done all of a sudden? All of a sudden, we've created a conflict in their world. We've created a conflict. And what happens is, many times after the family leaves, I'm referring this to my care setting, and I'm sure this can be applied to any care setting. After the family leaves, the client is still trying to understand, process the experience. And there's a good probability that the process, trying to process those experiences, could channel or manifest through other inappropriate emotional behaviors that sometimes other clients that reside in that facility or in that care setting, or the caregivers have to deal with. And more than that, it's something that the client, the individual with the Alzheimer's disease have to deal with. And it's tough, guys. It's painful. Think about this for a second, okay? You're getting ready to go to work and you can't find your car keys, and there's a place that you place the car keys every evening when you come back to work. For some reason, you are not able to find your car keys because you did not put it in the spot where you should have put it, and the following day you think that you put it in the spot where you usually put it, and you can't find it, and you look for it. Then you ask your family members, your spouse, your children, your partners, and then what happens is, as time progresses, think about this, guys, for a second, okay? If you're unable to find the car key, it leads to emotional manifestation, internal frustration. Then the frustration is expressed through some form of emotions, and then it could lead to anger. So think for this for a second. Every single time when you're interacting, you could be a caregiver, you could be a family member, you could be a medical professional. When you're interacting with a client, you have to understand, you have to know where they are. Find the moment where they are. Sometimes parents are not able to recognize their children, or the wife that has the disease is unable to recognize the husband when they come down to visit. And it's okay. They don't have to remember you the very first time. Think about this, folks. When you're out in public, how many times you remember everyone's name? How many times you remember so and so, and you saw them so and so, you know exactly how you know them, where you met them, in your professional life, even in your personal life. It takes a while for you to process that information, okay? And you're normal. It takes a normal person to process that information. And we often ask, can you remind me, how I know you, where I saw you? I apologize. Can you please, give me some visual cues, or some verbal cues, or some circumstantial cues for me to remember? And that's what we try, asking people who we have difficulty recognizing or identifying. We're dealing with an individual with a disease. Imagine what they go through. So sometimes they may not know that you are their husband, or you are their wife, or you are their child. Give them time. And if you come in and introduce yourself and say who you are, and all of a sudden if they don't remember you as their spouse or as their child, you create a conflict. Instead, think about this, folks. We as humans, we love people saying good things about us. We love compliments no matter where you are in life. When people say nice things to us, we love it. We enjoy it. We cherish it. It's very unusual or abnormal for people not to do that. So, when you come in, or when we go in, we see our family member, we see our loved one, our friends, our spouse. Let's not barge and jump into the relational cues. Let's say, hi, how are you? You look beautiful. I love your dress. I love your scarf. I like your jacket. I like the way you wore your pearl necklace. I like the way you smell. I got you a rose. Nice things, guys. Nice things, folks. Nice things. Nice things, nice experiences bring emotions. Emotions that are very conducive to that experience, that the individual is able to recognize. And see where it takes you. See where it leads you. There's a very good chance they may ask who you are and say who you are, your name. And if they ask you how you know them, it's not a bad idea to tell them how you know them. But you'll be surprised when you continue to engage with them, with the current environment that they are in, the current moment they are in. If they are doing an activity, if you engage with them, participate, cooperate, and enjoy with them, with what they do. If they're walking around, walk with them. If they're pouring a glass of water, or they're doing some folding clothes, cooperate, participate with them. It's no point telling them that, Mom, you can't do that, Dad, you can't do that. It's no point. You get frustrated, and they get frustrated. We walk out unhappy, and we've left our family member in their current living environment disappointed and unhappy, and has created a conflict. So it's folks, living in the moment is very, very important, extremely important, folks. Always please be sensitive, because we as humans are very, very sensitive when it comes to when you're at work, when we are with our acquaintances. We are very careful what we say, how we say. We want to make sure, when we talk to our boss or our supervisor or to our employer, we are very careful what we say, how we say, when we say. And I think we need to exercise that level of sensitivity and carefulness and caution when we engage with individuals with Alzheimer's disease, no matter who they are. Folks, one thing I get to see more often is, a family member telling me, oh, my mom was always like that. She always had a temper. She was so-and-so, she was such and such. And the thing is, an individual with Alzheimer's disease, they don't know all of that stuff and they don't remember those things. Whereas we as children, we as family members, we try to bring, or we bring sometimes, those past unpleasant experiences, and then we start passing judgments or making decisions, making calls based on those experiences. And folks, I don't think that will help us engage and embrace them. I don't think that's productive. That's not fruitful. It's no point me talking about as an adult what my mom was, said this when I was up as a 10-year-old. When she did this to me, she did that to me. It's no point, even if she did, it's no point talking about those things, because we're all grown-up adults, grown-up individuals. I think we have to mature. When we deal with clients, when we engage with clients that have the disease, it's very important for us to be mature. Extremely important for us to be mature. We have to be the mature person in that setting. Extremely important, folks. Extremely important. Living in the moment will make your experience even more fun. One other thing I would like to suggest is, when you go down to visit your mom or your dad or your family member, and there are times that you may not like the environment or the way they're living. If they're living at home, it may not be clean. You may see stuff laying around, things not being done right. Do you really think that pointing those things to them or telling them what's the right way to do is going to make it fun and exciting? Is going to be productive? Is going to enhance your time with them when you're visiting? No, it's not. It is not. See where they are. One thing I'm going to challenge you folks, folks that have families in healthcare settings, or even when they're living on their own, when you go down to visit them, be supportive, be cooperative, involve, engage, and jump in what they do, as long as they're not at risk to themselves and to others. You have to exercise your judgment here, but try to be involved. Try to get involved. It will make your experience so fruitful, so purposeful, so meaningful. Not only just yours, it'll make your loved one's experience much more fruitful. And you know what? Every single time you go and you make the experience very pleasant for them, they will remember those things, folks. They will remember those things. I'll tell you, I don't want to go into details into physiology and anatomy and the psychology of the brain psychology or neuro science of the brain, but I'll tell you, emotions that are very pleasant and emotions that are unpleasant, they tend to register those things, and that tends to have a huge impact on them. And it's my responsibility and your responsibility to make sure that they've got the best experience, a memorable experience. Sometimes you have to laugh with them. Sometimes you have to cry with them. Sometimes you have to enjoy with them. Sometimes you have to be playful with them. Sometimes you're going to joke around with them. Sometimes whatever they do, you may have to take it as their standard of living. Please do not impose yourself. Please do not impose your environment. Please do not impose your world. It's important, folks, that we have to be the one that's understanding, reasonable, and mature. Say nice things to them. Make them feel good. Make them feel wanted. Make them feel sensational. Very important. They'll have a great experience, so will you. Thanks so much for joining me in this podcast. I look forward to my next, and we will continue to talk about the disease. If you have any questions, any feedback about what I talked about, I love to hear. That's what enables us to work together, collect this information, gather this information, make a sense of it, and do what is right to our families, to our clients, to our patients, to our friends, and to those who are in need. Folks, I want to leave you with this. Alzheimer's is just a disease. Always just a disease. You and I, if we have the right knowledge, the right information, if the entire world is infected with this information, imagine what we could do collectively for the disease. There is so much we can do. It is just a disease, and we're going to take care of everyone with that disease. We're going to find a way to help them, and we're going to grab the disease by its horn, and we're going to take it down. You and I, every one of us, we're going to take it down. It'll take some time. It will take some time. It's not going to happen tomorrow, but we are going to do it. We are going to do it, and I want to talk a little bit more about the Svayus program. The Svayus program is our program that we had found, I had created. I'm going to talk about how the program came into existence, what the impetus, what the inspiration, what the motivation was in my next podcast. Until then, ciao, and look forward to seeing you back. Take care. Bye.